Hey, Dennis here, and I'm here to answer a question that comes up a lot with my clients. And that is, why is it so hard to lead at home when it's so easy to lead in your work, your job, your career? Right? Why does it make it, why is it so much more challenging there? And the answer is simple, but it requires some unpacking. And that's, you're not trying to build intimate relationships in your career, like in the office. You're not trying to do that. You're not practicing vulnerability. You're not opening up. You're probably not even emotionally connecting. In that environment, there is a singular goal because it's a more masculine container. So it's very directed, it's very focused. It requires a very singular goal and output. You're tied to efficiency, all those things, which don't require high levels of emotional connectivity. You're not necessarily trying to meet the needs of the people in that environment like you need to at home, right? So it's just easier because by inside of that environment, it's so much harder to be triggered. It's so much harder to take things personally. Like it's very much for the sake of something else to get jobs done. It's very much more of a masculine environment. Whereas at home, it's going to require the softer skills, require you to lean into more of the feminine energy, more of the connection, more of the understanding needs, being bringing high levels of empathy, really connecting deeper with your partner, continuing to nourish that connection. And in the work environment, there's higher degrees of feedback and more, frankly, honest communication, straightforward communication. In the marriage, it can be far more convoluted. It requires a lot more interpreting. She's going to be communicating more in her feelings, where you're going to try to communicate in facts. And now you have to shift to be able to understand her feelings so that you can resolve the situation. Like it's just two very different containers. Now, that what makes it so hard. Now let's talk about how you can use how you show up here to show up better in your marriage. And point one is have a goal, have a vision that you're working towards. I like to talk about having your marriage be a third entity in your life. There's you, there's your wife, then there's the marriage. Treat that marriage like you would treat a business, right? Or your career, where there's a end goal to it, something that you're working towards creating in that. Because when you have that level of focus, now conversations would come about making the marriage better. Not he said, she said, her this, whatever. It's about how can we make the marriage better? Where are we seeking to take the marriage and how can we get it there? And that will bring communication that is more similar or is easier to do like you have in your career. You can bring more of that communication style over and you'll just thrive better in that because as men, we thrive better in this communication style. So you can do that, create that over here by treating your marriage as a third entity, its own business, its own organism. And you are working on creating the goal that you have for that. The next thing is having a vision. Like all great businesses have visions. They know what they're seeking to create and they're working towards creating this. This is kind of like point one, but just being really clear about what you want to create, and both of you contributing to that vision for that entity is going to be really important. And when you have that, now you have two parties focus on the end result versus focusing on potentially getting in the way of each other or all the conflict. So it creates that separation as well. And three, if you're in any kind of managing position or leadership position or anything, you know how important it is to have your employees bought in on an emotional level, not just showing up for a paycheck, not just showing up to get the job done. Like they want to be there. They see purpose. They see this job as a way for them to get what they want. Show up like that in your marriage as well. Like know that to get her to fully open up to you, to fully give you all the gifts that she has to give, her needs have to be met. She has to be there not just because she made a commitment, but also because her needs are getting met. She sees that this is a path to what she wants in life, right? So if you bring those three things, or you transfer those three things over into your marriage, you'll notice that it'll just be easier to show up because those are things we're familiar with. It goes more to how men communicate and how we see things. It allows us to have more of our fix it mentality come into play and be received well. And it just makes everything just a little easier. So that's what I have for you today. Catch you next time.